Hello, welcome to Tobisonics. It is Tuesday, the 8th of June, 2021. I hope you all had great weekends and the week has started well for you. In this week's episode, we're going to be taking a look at using AutoPan to create movement in your tracks. According to Hack Audio, the AutoPan effect performs an automatic repeating pattern with a virtual panning potentiometer. This creates the perception of a sound moving from side to side across the stereo field. Typically, a low-frequency oscillator is used to change the pan value. Different types of LFOs will create different repeating patterns. We're going to be using the stock AutoPan plugin that comes included with Cubase, and you know that I like to keep things nice and tangible. So instead of just using a bunch of practice tracks or practice loops, we're going to be breaking open the production for my new single, All the Little Things. Before we get into it, if I could just ask you to take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel. That would really help me out. Thank you for taking the time. Let's start off in the pre-chorus, and we're going to be looking at using AutoPan on the hi-hat and the guitar. Right now, the AutoPan is bypassed, and the hi-hat and guitar are straight down the middle of the mix. I've also left in the bass, kick, and snare so you guys can kind of hear the context of the production and get a sense of how that movement's going to work around the kind of center pillar of bass, kick, snare. Alright then, let's start by taking a look at that hi-hat. I've muted the guitar, and right now we've got the hi-hat running with the AutoPan in bypass, so our hi-hat is straight down the middle. Let's listen to a couple of reps with the AutoPan bypassed, and then I'll drop the AutoPan onto the hi-hat so you guys can make a direct comparison. And you can hear straight off that immediately we're throwing that hi-hat around left to right. We've got it set nice and wide at 95% width. We're keying off the tempo itself, which I like to do. It always sounds more musical to me that way. One of the things you'll notice is that when you use an AutoPan, you are going to lose some body to the signal. You're going to lose some of the kind of weight of that kind of audio, and the hi-hat sounds a little bit kind of almost more transparent. It doesn't quite have the same kind of punch that it had. One of the things that you can do to help that is you can help by sort of tweaking the phase. And if I have a little bit of a regret about this production, it's that I wasn't a little bit more specific with the phase. But we haven't finished there with the hi-hat. We can do a little bit more to get it to sort of move about more and add a little bit more interest and ear candy in the track. And we're going to do that with automation. Right now, the automation is in bypass. We're going to be automating the phase, and we're going to be automating the width. Let's do a couple more reps with it in bypass, and then I'm going to drop in first the phase auto and then the width auto so you guys can make a direct comparison. First up, by automating the phase, we're adding a little left-right shift to the hi-hat. So we're creating that little bit of extra kind of ear candy and interest for your ears, and it's making the track kind of shift across. And then the AutoPan on the width. Now, 5% width difference is not a huge amount, 95% to 100%. It's not really creating any more width per se. What it's actually doing is just making the hi-hat sound a little bit more lively. By putting in small amounts of automation and variances, you'll just create a bit more excitement, a bit more energy to your tracks. All right, let's move over to the guitar. And for the time being, I've muted the hi-hat. So what we've got running right now is the bass, kick, and snare to give you some kind of context. And then we've got the guitar running with the auto pan in bypass. Let's give it a couple more reps like that, and then I'll drop in the auto pan so you guys can make a direct comparison. So once again, like we had with the hi-hat, we get that immediate shift from left to right. And again, we've got the auto pan synced to the tempo. We're moving it much faster this time. We're moving on every beat of the bar. But we haven't quite finished with the guitar. We've got a little bit of automation we can add, and like we were with the hi-hat, we're going to automate that phase just to give us a little bit more left to right shift. So let's do a couple more reps with the automation in bypass, then I'll drop the automation back in and you guys can make a direct comparison. And again, just as it did with the hi-hat, the phase variance is flipping the auto pan pattern from left to right. All right then, let's have a little bit of compare and contrast. Let's start it off with the auto pans in bypass. We've got the kick, snare, bass running, and we're going to do one loop with the hi-hat and the guitar, no auto pan. Then I'll drop the auto pan in on the hi-hat, then we'll do one rep. Then I'll drop the auto pan in on the guitar, one more rep. Then I'll drop in the automation for the auto pan on the hi-hat, another rep, and then finally I'll put in the automation for the auto pan on the guitar. Now we've got both the hi-hat and the guitar running in context. You can hear how by having different types of LFO modulating those hi-hat pans, by having different tempo settings, we're able to create a variance and contrast between the hi-hat and the guitar that helps the two of them stand out. The other thing it's doing is by moving the guitar and the hi-hat out wide, it's giving a lot more room for that bass, kick, and snare. Autopan is a great way of bringing some movement, some ear candy, some shift, and some kind of variety and kind of energy to your tracks. And when you include a little bit of automation, you can bring a kind of further level and depth of variation and spontaneity and kind of sense of performance that can really help kind of energize loops that otherwise feel a little bit too sterile, a little too kind of clean and flat and predictable. Just adds that little kind of almost randomness to it that our ears and our emotions really enjoy when we're listening to music. It also has the added bonus of it pushes things to the sides more, so it gives more room straight down the middle for your kick, snare, bass, and vocal line. Not only that, but you can do it with a simple stock AutoPan plugin that you got with your DAW. If you enjoyed this week's episode, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to my channel. It really does help me out. Thank you for taking the time. And if you'd like to hear the production that we were working on in context, then All the Little Things is out on all streaming platforms and Bandcamp. Please check it out. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below or feel free to contact me via social media at Tobisonics. Thank you so much for watching. And until next Tuesday, good night and good noise. Stay safe and stay healthy.